Welcome to Digital Business Strategy, the BL8 paper. I'm Anton Fonseka, a technology enthusiast who is very interested in learning new technologies and applying them in my own businesses. Also, I work as a ERP consultant in an IT organization. So that's about me in brief. When it comes to the paper, Business Level 2 BL8 Digital Business Strategy. As you know, this is a recently introduced paper by CA Sri Lanka. And the main reason why the Institute of Chartered Sri Lanka introduced this paper is to give the students an understanding of the IT environment in the industry. As you know, we are in a digitalized era where the technology drives everything. Therefore, this is going to be a very interesting subject for you all to learn new technologies and to see how the organization behave in terms of these latest technological advances. And moving ahead with the plan for the session. So, giving you an overview of what I am planning to take you all through this session. I'll be taking you through the format of the exam and likewise the exam techniques, because you all need to know certain things before you attend the exam and you need to know how the paper looks like. So those are my main focus and you all will get to know these things in detail. Likewise, the syllabus at a glance, you all will have a high level understanding of what will be covered in this syllabus. So that is very crucial, right? So you all will get the initial understanding of what areas will be covered in this subject, what this exam is focusing on. So these are some new variations that you all will get to learn through this new syllabus. And also the main syllabus area, so that is the weightage, how this syllabus is structured and how this syllabus is divided into what kind of areas. So I will take you through a full session on how this is getting proportionately divided into different segments. Likewise, we'll also be giving the understanding of what is our strategy. That means how we are going to take you through the ladder to success of your examination. So that is something we have planned out. We have prepared what steps that we are going to take you in order to get you through the exams. Likewise, what is digital business strategy? Of course, if you are to learn this subject, you definitely need to know what is digital business strategy. So today, as I said you, my focus for the today's session will be giving an introduction on what is digital business strategy in practical terms. How organization in practical perspective they apply these in their decision making, in their operations. So those things you will get to learn from today's session. Likewise, the traditional business versus digitalization, that is also how you differentiate from the traditional business or the old legacy, old systems towards the digital transformation. I'll give you certain examples, real world facts and figures, and the use cases to make you all more aware of what we are teaching and what you are going to get from us. Likewise, the real world facts and use cases, and the most important part of today's session as per the plan is the pilot paper discussion, because I have prepared a pilot paper, the discussion, which covers 50 questions. Those questions will be covering from the overall syllabus. So that is going to be very good thing for you all. You all will able to cover a lot of things that you need to learn and that you need to know in order to understand and get through this examination successfully. Okay, now let's look into the format of the exam. This is that you must know before you attend the exam. In order to prepare yourself, you need to know the structure of the BL8 paper. So what are the things that this paper is having? If you can see here, the time allowed is only 2 hours, nothing more, nothing less. So just keep in mind it is going to be a 2-hour paper. And likewise, the total marks allocated for this paper is 100 marks. and the pass mark is 50%. So in order to get this 50%, you need to get 50 marks out of this total 100 marks allocated, right? So this is not going to be a difficult subject, this is not going to be a theoretical subject, but you have to think and you have to put yourself like a digital entrepreneur. How organizations think when they make decisions in terms of digitalization, in terms of technologies, in terms of innovations. So that is how you have to think, and if you can practically apply these things in the real world scenarios, definitely you will pass this examination. So as I said, it's 50 mark is for you to pass the exam, and likewise there are 50 questions. All questions are compulsory. So don't skip any questions. There will be only 50. Just think like that. There is only 50 questions and you have to attempt each and every questions and get through the exam. Likewise, these 50 questions, you will get 2 marks each. And how you get that 2 marks is through multiple choice and the drag and drop, fill in the blanks and matching questions, etc. So all you have to do is it's just 2 mark question each, right? And you have to answer these questions correctly in order to get through the paper successfully. And the most interesting part of this paper is it is going to be a computer based exam. This is not going to be a written paper. You no need to write letters or like essays, paragraphs in order to get through this exam. You're free, right? You will just sit near a computer and you will attempt the exam through computer based CBE examination. That is going to be very easy for you. And that is what the BL8 paper talks about. That is what you need to know in terms of format of the exam. I think now you are clear as to what the question types, how many questions will be there for you to pass the exam, how much marks you need to get, and what is the pass mark. And of course you should not target on getting this just 50% pass mark, but you have to focus on getting the 100. Therefore if you can get the 100, definitely you are the prize winner. If not, you will definitely pass this examination. This is not a very challenging paper because as I said you before, all you have to do is you put yourself as a digital entrepreneur and think in the practical senses. So this is going to be very easy deal for you, right? All right, so we discussed the format of the exam and we'll move ahead with some exam techniques. So these are some general exam techniques I just listed down, but in order to pass your exam, these things are very crucial. You need to know how you are going to plan and how you are going to prepare yourself to attend this exam. You cannot focus last minute and sit for the exam and expect a pass. Still, we are trying to get you through the maximum inputs, give you through the practical things, get you through the live platforms and give you that kind of a teaching. So I think this is going to be a very interesting session for you all, where you all will interact mostly through the video lecture series, where you will get the benefit of understanding it very clearly. And the advantage about this is you can pre-plan based on the videos. You can go through the lessons, you listen to it, and if you don't understand you can pause it or else just rewind, go back, and until you understand you listen to that and then come forward in the lessons of these videos that we are recording. So plan well and be prepared. And the second thing is the time allocation. There will be 50 questions and you need to understand the time. 2 hours allowed for these 50 questions. So you should have a plan how much time I am going to spend per question. And if I cannot complete that, let's say I couldn't complete it within the given time, a question allocated time, let's say, and then you should not delay yourself. You should move to the next question and try to answer the other questions as much as you can, because there can be very easy questions coming up and you are stuck in a place with a, let's say, a difficult question, but it is not maybe actually difficult, but you may be thinking too much on it. So in that kind of scenarios, you need to have the understanding of how you are going to allocate your time. So 2 hours is what is given, and how you are going to attempt all questions correctly within this 2 hours. Okay, so the time allocation, 2 hours, just plan for this. And the syllabus knowledge, of course, if you are to take these exam, you definitely need to know what is covered in the syllabus. Maybe not 100%, but to an extent you need to know what this syllabus covers, right? I mean, at least the chapters, what are the main concepts or what are the major areas that are covered in this syllabus is a very important thing. Before you go ahead, initially that understanding you should get. And I will also be covering these parts today, so you all will get the initial understanding and you all will prepare yourself for the success of your exams. Then practice makes perfect. Practice questions under time conditions. As I said, the time allocation, you know now, it's 2 hours. So what you have to do is practice, take questions, past papers and practice and make yourself perfect. Then you know you can attempt, because in most of the scenarios, and if you look into the question, sometimes you will understand there are MCQ questions which look similar, like almost the same answer expected in the 2 questions, but it's put on a 2 different questions, but it's the same thing described in different way. So those kinds of things you all will get to learn through the practice. So better practice yourself before the exam. So that is one main thing that we should do. Likewise, you all should have a revision plan and which exam you all are going to attempt and how you are going to revise your lessons. So in order to this revision plan, I also have planned a supportive thing for you all, which I will discuss in upcoming slide, which is a mind map. So this mind map I'm planning to prepare in a way, when you look into that, which covers the whole chapter, at a glance you all will be able to grab things which are very important and which will be questioned in your exam. So that is one thing I am planning, this revision plan from my end, to give you all the maximum support possible. So that is I will also discuss in our strategy how we are going to do that. And also the mark scheme focus, like you all need to, as I said, this is also part of the practice. It's also how you are going to understand the answers from the question itself, because this is MCQ. And say if you do not have much of a time to go through the textbook, what you can do is you can practice, and from this practice itself you all will get to learn what? Learn the answers from those questions itself. Right? I think you all get the points that I discussed under exam techniques. So now let's look into the syllabus at a glance. What we are going to cover in this syllabus. As you can see here, how many chapters? There are only 11 chapters, right? If you look into these 11 chapters, easy. And within these 11 chapters, there are certain areas that is covered. This is all what the examiner is focusing to give you questions. So you need to have a overall understanding. But today, for this session, I will not take you through in detail what is covered exactly. Let's say if it is introduction to e-business, I'm not going to take you through the whole thing today, but we will be covering in the upcoming sessions. So what I want to give you is the initial impression about this syllabus and this subject. So, the number one, business management, process and technology. So this is the first chapter that will be covered in your syllabus. Likewise, the second, managing technology in organizations, digitalization of business and commerce, and the role of information system in businesses. And the fifth chapter will be the ERP, enterprise resource planning. So there will be a lot of discussions under these chapters, which I can take you all through very interactive and a more graphical way for you all to understand how these things works in practical examples, using practical examples, right? So likewise, the areas, the chapters that is covered in this syllabus is introduction to e-business and e-business environment, e-business applications, marketing practices in digital platform, and mobile and social media marketing. And the 11th chapter will be the content marketing. So there is it is not a very bulky subject, but under these things, those are some day-to-day things that you all are currently doing. So it's all about how you apply for these questions and how you think your answer in terms of this context, which you already know. So my focus is to take you out of that framework and to get you understand these things from your senses itself. So this is the syllabus at a glance. Now you know what are the chapters, how many chapters, right? How many chapters? There are only 11 chapters covered in this syllabus. And what are those? Here they are. Now you know what is covered in this syllabus, right? Good. So this is also some key thing what you need to understand from this main syllabus areas, the weightage given for this syllabus, how this syllabus is broken down into separate segments. If you see here, there is some allocation, right? 30%. Okay, let's go with the initial thing. Introduction to business strategy and technology covers how much? 20% of the syllabus, right? 20%. This portion. And what are the areas this 20% is focusing? I have given listed few examples. This is not everything, but few examples. Types of strategies in business, technology applications in business process, how you are going to apply your technology in your day-to-day running of the business, and application to value chain, and benefits and drawbacks of digital business. So these are few examples that will be covered under this section. Introduction to business strategy and technology. Okay. Likewise, there is another 25% comes here. Here we go. Marketing strategies in the digital age. So the syllabus then again broken into a 25% marketing strategies in the digital age, which covers e-marketing versus traditional marketing, search engine optimization, SEO we call, and analysis and monitoring of social media. Few examples listed down here, which will be covered under the marketing strategies in the digital age. And there is another 25%. We discussed the introduction is given only 20%, which is the lesser percentage compared to the other, and here the 25% again to marketing strategies in the digital age, and then again another 25% comes managing information in business. So managing information in business will also be part of this syllabus and a segment, right? So that will cover types of information systems, IT infrastructures, and emerging technologies and the ERP systems. So that is how the syllabus is broken down, and the majority of this syllabus, which is 30%, will be covered under the nature and scope of e-business, right? So in this 30%, few examples that I have just jotted down here: e-commerce versus e-business. How you got to differentiate these things? E-commerce, e-business, it's kind of same, right, when you just think about it, but no, there are differences that you will get to learn. And there are few will be covered under the pilot paper discussions itself, but I will take you through a detailed chapter-wise differentiations with detailed understanding for you all. Likewise, the consumer online behavior and technology adoption and e-payment systems are few examples which will be covered under nature and scope of e-business. Giving you a summary of what we discussed: 30% for what? Nature and scope of e-business. Then again, here comes 20% for introduction to business strategy and technology. And again, another 25%. There are two 25% divided under marketing strategies in the digital age and managing information in business. So this is what you are going to learn from this BL8 paper. Right, here we covered the main syllabus areas, the weightage, how the syllabus is broken down into different areas. I think it's clear for you all what we are going to do with the understanding of this, initial understanding of this syllabus, right? So here comes our strategy. This is not digital business strategy or any other strategy, but our strategy, how we are going to get you pass this examination successfully. These are the things that we have planned. These are some unique things that we have planned in this session. You know, video-based lecture series, that is something very important nowadays. Because of this pandemic, you cannot attend lectures, of course, right? So this is the only solution. You can watch these videos and learn things. And if you do not understand, you go back, you watch, you understand, and then come again. So that is the benefit in this video-based lecture series. Likewise, as I said you before, the mind maps, chapter summaries. So that is something I'm planning to give you all a kind of a flow chart basis, like to give you all a summary, to look into the summary of the each chapters, like there will be therefore 11 mind maps. By looking into that, you all will be able to understand what are the key things that will be discussed under each chapter. What is expected from the examiner will be focused in this mind maps. So just keep in mind that these are our strategies for you all. And here comes the mock exams. You also planning to give all mock exams, and then again WhatsApp discussions, the group chat. If you all have any questions, by looking into the videos, maybe you all will not able to ask the questions, but we have planned certain sessions like the webinars and the WhatsApp group interactions, everything. So whenever you have some question, then you can clear it right before the exams. Then you will be able to understand the things that you did not understand by looking into this video. But from these videos, we are trying to get you the maximum possible to give you with real life examples. Okay. And another interesting thing that I am planning to give you is the live exploring of digital platforms. I think when taking you through a subject like digital business strategy, I don't think I can read out papers for you all. No, nothing like that. I am going to give you some explanations through the digital platforms itself. Like take you lively through the platform. For example, I will show you maybe how you can buy bitcoins and sell your own bitcoins to some other customers, maybe Sri Lankan or some foreign countries. So that is something you all will get to learn from this subject. That's why I said this is going to be very interesting. You think as you are a digital entrepreneur and then you apply these into your answer in the questions. Okay. And the real data, use case, examples are some strategies that we are going to plan to give you all an understanding how the real world is impacted due to digitalization, digital transformation, and because of the disruptive technologies that is coming. You all might have heard artificial intelligence and all these things, right? So we will give you with real life example how the companies have applied these things and what are those concepts in very simplified versions. I'm not going to take you through a technical way because this is not a technical paper to tell you how all this machine learnings and artificial intelligence works. But for you, for your level, I will give you the understanding on how you are going to get through these exams, answer these questions with your business knowledge for these questions, which will be coming up in your paper. Additional reading materials we will be giving to you all, and the past paper discussion which we have planned for today as well. Right? And that is our strategy, how we are going to take you through the ladder to pass your examination. Moving ahead, what is digital business strategy? Before we start this subject, I think you all need to know what is digital business strategy. Right, even before you understand digital business strategy, you need to have the understanding of what is strategy. So when it comes to strategy, so what do you all know about strategy? Just think for yourself. Let me initially read this out. A course of action. Okay, a course of action including the specification of resources required to achieve a specific objective. To what? To achieve a specific objective. Strategy should have objective. Otherwise, if you do not have objective, what is the purpose of setting a strategy? Executive board of an organization coming into a table and setting a strategy, spending a lot of budgets on the strategy. But why? That should have an objective as to what you are going to achieve in terms of organization. That is something called strategy, and these have several characteristics. In order to define and understand this strategy, there will be certain characteristics which we will discuss in the next slide. But before that, now here we go. Digital business strategy. Now you all have a very basic understanding there, the strategy, and here comes to the digital business strategy part. That is also the thing that we need to learn. Digital business strategy is an application of digital technologies to business models. It is what? It is the application, how you are going to apply these digital stuffs, right? Digital, let's say what? Digitally, like introducing a new system to your normal day-to-day operations, getting some technologies into your systems, and like getting dashboards to your management to see how things happen. So that is also a kind of a digital strategy, and that is how we are going to apply application of digital technologies to business models to form new differentiating. Here comes the word new. This is not for something existing, but it is new and differentiating. So because of this digital business strategy, the organization is planning to apply and get some benefit out of it, which is very unique, which is different, and which is new. So that is something will be discussed in detail in these the strategic concepts. Right? Models to form new differentiating business capabilities. So when it comes to the business capabilities, what business could achieve by setting these digital business strategy: reduce your cost, increase your revenue, or getting the people used to more technologies to improve your productivity and efficiency. So these are kinds of new things. Or you are introducing some new systems, or you are going into a new market with some, say, e-commerce, and then you are trying to explore things and sell online to everyone. So these can be examples of digital business strategy. And also another good example is that, imagine you are working for an organization, but that organization is having a very old system. Let's say, when I say the word system, it's not some technical things or technology things, but they just write in the papers and they record all the paper transactions. And then your organization is planning to set up and strategy to get these old systems or this paper system or kind of Excel works into some digital forms. So when I say digital forms, example, ERP. ERP is what? Enterprise Resource Planning. Just for time being, just imagine it's kind of a software which combines, interlink all the departments in your organization. Just for the example, but there will be a separate chapter to learn in detail for that. So the traditional business, from their the legacy systems, they are going to take into this ERP. They are going to digitally transform everything. So that is a strategy, a digital strategy, right? So likewise, strategic plan. Y'all, as organizations, they need to have a strategic plan. So what is strategic plan? Let's just look into this. Statement of long-term goals. Long-term goals, along with a definition of the strategies and policies that will ensure achievement of these goals. What is the plan to get you through the ultimate objective that is set to achieve, let's say 2025. Today, in this year 2021, you are setting strategic objective to achieve in 2025, and then you are planning. You have to plan it, right? You cannot simply achieve those objectives. Now when I say the planning, there has to be a direction, okay, and the direction should be very clear, and how you are going to get this, and what people you need to get close into this technological or the digital transformation. So likewise, there should be a proper plan as an organization they need to consider. So this is what in the understanding about what is strategy, how you are going to differentiate normal strategy into digital business strategy. Digital business strategy will mainly focus on the technological the strategies, maybe technological investment into the organization, getting everything online or making everything digitalized, something like that. Just have that in your mind, and the strategic plan in order to get these things right. I discussed previously, there are certain characteristics. When it comes to the characteristics of a digital business strategy or strategy, let's say, it has to be long term. Why this long term? Can we set a strategy for one day, tomorrow, next week, next month. No, because this has to be, that is why the strategy itself, this has to be something long term, maybe more than a year, that has to be worked out initially, and there should be a proper objective of getting things done. That is the main reason why the top level of the organization involves in setting the strategy. If you all notice, maybe in your organization, if you are a person who is currently working, you might have seen the strategy for 2025 is communicated via internal communications, or maybe sometimes they do not disclose it to the other levels of the organization, or they retain it with the top level only, the senior management, let's say. So that's why there are three horizons. Number one, long term, okay, means defending and extending the current business. When I say defending, what does that mean? You have some existing levels. By safeguarding the existing levels, you are going to extend the current business. You are not going to give up your existing levels of the organization. You are going to advance your organization into an extending level. So you have to protect the existing environment, the existing practices, existing motivation, and everything about the organization. And likewise, you are extending the current businesses. Then the horizon 2. Businesses are emerging activities that should provide new source of profit. Now, in long term, the characteristic, the horizon 2 is talking about new source of profit. If you are spending a lot of time on planning these things, as I said before, there has to be some reason why you have to do this, why organizations or the management, why they have to do this. That is some focus toward new source of profit. Now I'm coming back to the previous example that I talked about, ERP. Just again giving you a brief, because since we have not covered what is ERP, ERP is again a software that interlinks all your divisions and the operations within the organization as a whole. So implementing such a thing, what is the new source of profit? What can be a new source of profit by implementing strategy? It can also reduce the cost. Another new source of profit is this can foster your productivity. Maybe this can improve your supply chain. Say if your organization having more weightage towards the supply chain, or supply chain is a major part of your business operation, then that can help to integrate all the systems into this supply chain and faster your deliveries to the customer, and therefore you will get new customers, and then you get to have new source of profit. And likewise the improved profit that can be gained. So the horizon 3, ventures are new and risky and might provide returns in several years. So this is going to be something new, and it has its own risk involved with it. And this might provide returns in several years. As I said, this is not going to get you returns in terms of organization, not 1 week, not 1 month, but in several years of time. And then again, the strategic direction. Organization will generally have objectives and then organize themselves to meet those objectives. Now, going back to the example of ERP, set in this technology thing, you have to set your strategic direction, how you are going to clear your path. Say if your path is like this and there are certain blockers, barriers. What could be the barrier? And here the ERP. And you are starting from here. What this barrier could be? People resistant to change. That is one of the very practical challenging thing, because most of the people who are used to use these Excels, Microsoft Excel, they sometimes reluctant to change, or they are resistant to change for new systems. Adaptability is very challenging nowadays. So that barrier has to be cleared. So that is where your strategic direction, in order to meet the ultimate objective of this ERP, you have to clear these things. This has to be cleared. And there can be another thing. You are going to plan your ERP into the by 2025, but your operation people who need to have computers but they do not have yet, so they need to be provided with the computers. So that barrier will be eliminated because of the strategic plan. That will be discussed in the strategic plan, how they are going to eliminate those barriers and how the ultimate objectives can be met. Okay, I hope you get what I'm talking about, this the long-term characteristics and the strategic direction and the organization. When it comes to the organizations generally contain people with differing views. My mindset is different to the mindset of you. You might be thinking different way than me or somebody else. We are not the same, right? So differing views and interest which are relevant in setting strategy. It will also have to consider its internal and external stakeholders. So that's why I said, when organization set an objective, they have to think the surrounding. Who will be affected? Who can affect this? Right? So the internal and external stakeholders need to be discussed. So for example, internal, how the customer is going to be affected from this digital transformation. Will they get benefited, or will their deliveries get so delayed because of this? I'm talking about the external, the stakeholders. Internal means whether the employees, how they are going to get affected, and the management likewise, and its boundaries. So in terms of organization, they need to have the understanding about the boundaries. What is the framework? What can they go? What is the limit that they can go? They need to understand and decide what is to be included or what is to be excluded from the activities. So that is very, very important thing from organization. The management should decide, set in their framework, and they need to understand out of this box what they need to include and what they need to exclude. So that is how you set your organizational understanding in terms of strategy. These are the concerns that needs to be discussed and understood before they make decisions or while they are making decisions. All right, so we have now the initial understanding what is digital business strategy, what is strategy, and how with the examples. Right, now let's look into the areas of strategic decision making. Still we are discussing what is digital business strategy. So my focus is to give you all the initial understanding and set you with the strategic concepts and the understanding to make you thorough with that before we go ahead with the practical things in these organizations and these digital things. Okay, so areas of strategic decision making. One area is the competitive advantage. One thing organization that they need to consider is about the competitive advantage. If I am to set a strategic objective or a strategy, will there be a competitive advantage? They need to think about this. Why I say competitive advantage? Okay, what is competitive advantage? Competitive advantage is having an edge over your rivals. Say there are two businesses, okay, the business A and there is business B, and if you are to have a competitive advantage, you need to have an edge over the competitor A. Say if you are the B, you need to step up, right? You need to have something unique. So that is something should be addressed through this strategic decision making. That is something to consider. What is the competitive advantage that I can gain for my organization by setting these specific strategic objectives? Likewise, exploiting unique resources and core competencies. So this is then again strategic decision making. What they have to think about is how they can exploit the unique resources which is not available with other competitors or which is not available in the market. So that is something you are going to make unique, something like unique selling point, USP, and the core competencies need to be considered. Then I will talk about, take you all through this, adapting to changes in the business environment. When we talk about adaptation or adapting to changes in the business environment, what happens if you do not adapt? Let's see what happened to Steven Nilov. Who is he? Former Nokia CEO. What happened to him? What he didn't do, and therefore what the result for him? As you all know, when the smartphones came, the Nokia is the best shot, right? Those days, even I think we all had very durable, the technology wise, that is the only thing we knew, that is like perfect. But when the phones became more of smart and when the Android comes into place, Nokia, the management, they did not take this decision to adapt to the smartphones. So as a result, he is crying today. You all can see he's crying, right? Steven Nilov, former Nokia CEO. So what he said during the conference, right after the failure, what he said was, we didn't do anything wrong, but somehow we lost. Because what they did everything correct maybe, but they didn't adapt to the changes in the business environment. If they would have moved with the Android today, and they are next level. But see, now today there are lots of some Chinese markets and Indian markets are captured through the mobile phones, right, the smartphone devices. So if this decision was taken at the right time in order to adapt with the changes or the new technologies coming into the business, then that would have not happened. He also said the first iPhone shipped in 2007 and we still don't have a product that is close to their experience. Android came to the scene just 2 years ago, and this week they overtook our leadership position in smartphone volumes. Unbelievable. So all what this says is the adapting to changes in the business environment. If you do not adapt, this is what will happen. I hope this is clear. Likewise, when you think about, or when your organization's management think about strategic decision making, they also have to consider recognizing the values and expectations of major stakeholders. Because no matter whatever the plan you set up, whatever the discussions you have, if it is not going to be benefited, if your stakeholders are not going to be benefited, or if they are going to be affected in a negative way, then that is not going to be a success. So these things, therefore, before they or when they make the strategic decision, they need to consider what initially, let's say the competitive advantage, and then they need to consider the adapting to changes in the business environment. Likewise, recognizing the values and expectations of major stakeholders, and then again exploiting unique resources, how to exploit, how to make the maximum use of these unique resources and core competencies. So that is there are the areas the organizations need to make in terms of strategic decision making, right? Okay, let's move ahead with the 5 ways digital creates competitive advantage. So these factors, if you look into this closely, these are certain factors in practical aspects how organizations can think of getting a competitive advantage through strategic business decisions. One thing is here, it says disruption. In order to get the competitive advantage, one thing the organization can do is disruption. Disruption to what? Transforming business through innovative business models. If your business is running a kade, let's say, a retail shop just selling things, buying and selling. But what if you can apply some online selling and some create your own platforms, like build up a very new thing which is not available, and make some global customers to your normal shop in your local, the village. So that is something disruption that can make something innovative to your existing business model and products that don't exist in the market today. Also, you can think, the organization can think of the new products which is not available in the market. This is more of technological products that is not yet implemented, but because of the idea of this disruptive technology if they implement these kind of new latest technologies which is not available as of now, there you go, you get the competitive advantage. What you will get? The competitive advantage. What is competitive advantage? An edge over your rivals. That means you are better than your competitors. Okay, and likewise the experience, enabling digital interactions between clients and customers in a more engaging, seamless way. So the experience wise, it enables the digital interaction. So customers, it can be interacted. How a customer can be interacted to your business? How it becomes a competitive advantage? Let's say if your customer is coming from far away every day to see the balances, the outstanding balances, AR balances. He may need to know, maybe for some reason, let's say. And if you can set up in a way by letting the customer staying at home or through their mobile app, now they can see what is the balance to be paid. So that is something very good thing, the experience wise for the customers, right? They will be happy for it, and therefore you get the competitive advantage because nobody else is doing as such, but you are doing as an organization. Likewise, the operations, digitizing processes to improve employee productivity, supply interactions, and customer satisfaction. Let's talk about digitizing process. When it comes to the digitizing processes, you have some traditionally or normally operating the practices in your business, and then you are digitizing it, making everything using the computers, tablets, mobile phones, and you are making it more of like the touch based concepts, maybe to improve the productivity. Like as I said, you are weekly preparing reports to your supervisor. and then supervisor prepare another report combining all your reports, maybe let's say business unit wise, and then he prepares another report compiling everything to his manager, and then manager again, let's say the division wise, if this is a group of companies, he then again prepares some kind of the operational the report again to send it for another level. So what can they do is they can set up some business intelligence. There comes the BIs, there comes the dashboards. That is where everything in real time, the data, whenever you input some transaction, or let's say a payment you made, and that will be reflected in overall the bigger picture in the dashboard itself. That is what the business intelligence does. So how they can do is, actually in the practical world there are a lot of BI tools available in the market, like the Power BI you all might have heard, or some of the organizations in Sri Lanka, like I think most of the organizations, they do use Power BI. And also there's another expensive tool which is called Tableau. That is also a very nice tool to display everything, visualize everything. You can see everything, all the Excel chart sheets in all like the graphical way. The infographics can be seen from those BI tools itself. So that is where you digitize your process to improve employee productivity. And also likewise it can be applied for supply interactions and customer satisfaction. Okay, and then the workforce. Digital agility requires digital agility in your workforce. Organization must be powered by people with today's skills. So they need to learn, they need to give some trainings as to how to operate. If your team members, or if your organization operation department, if they do not have some tech savvy people, no need to be tech savvy, like let's say they cannot operate a computer, but there's very less nowadays. I think even most of the people, they can afford to it, but that is where you have to improve the skills, where the workforce need to be digitally aware. I mean, get them used to these digital things, and therefore the productivity will be improved within the organization. Likewise, the trust aspect, how the competitive advantage you can get through the practical trust. Trust means ensuring secure information in a digital age to inspire trust by your customers. So this is where the security comes into the place. Ensuring the customers trust, making the data, their details secured is something important thing that the customer would think about. They would appreciate, and they would be very willing to deal with a company who protects their confidentiality in case if there are some sensitive information that they are dealing with. So that is how the competitive advantage can be taken through digital concept. So that's I think covered under the disruption, experience, operations, workforce, and the trust. I hope now you all got the initial understanding as to what this strategy is, how practically organization thinks or plans to get these digital strategies into the organization. Right. Now I'll just show you some example as to why digital business, why digitalization considered as very important compared to traditional business. Now what I meant traditional business is some manual operations. They have been working from the way the culture itself is traditional. They do not like to change. That is how they have been operating so far. And why should they change? Because they have been making profit also, let's say based on the cost they have incurred, and they always ask, why should we change? We are doing good, we have no problem, we still get our profit and still we get our salaries. But I will take you through an example. If you need to reach to 2000 audience, now when I say 2000 audience, if you need to get your advertisement reach to 2000 people, what you have to do before and now? Let's talk about it's traditionally and digitally. In terms of traditionally, to get 2000 reach audience, you have the cost. Broadcast $150, newspaper cost is $250, and then magazines, you are printing your advertisement in the magazine $500, and then the direct mail $900. That is how your things, that how you did before, how you do traditionally, and see the cost. Maybe still you have profit, but see the cost. Now you look into the digital. To reach for the same 2000 audience, what you have to do? Search, it might cost 50. Social networking, it might cost $75. When I say social networking, say you want to reach to 2000 audience and you are operating your Facebook page and you are setting up your budget with let's say the $75 or whatever the budget you want, and then you have the option to select your exact targeted customers. That is where the digital stands. You can set and you can specify what customers I am looking. Okay, I want to sell, let's say I want to sell some dresses for people in Colombo 7, and then you can select the geography, what is your target location, and also you have the opportunity to select what the customer you need to target, a male, female. So likewise there are so many options with very less cost. That is where the digital comes into place. Before it cost you a lot, right, to reach 2000 audience, but now it is costing you very less to achieve the same 2000 number of audience. That is the benefit of having the things digitalized, using digital technologies to do certain things of our business operations. And this is very interesting. What do you all think about this? Just have a look at this before I start reading this or explain you all. Just have a look at and try to understand by your own. The heading says the real world facts and use cases. Use cases will be discussed in the next slide, the examples. Here comes the real world facts. October 2020 data. This is taken from the sources hot suite, and it talks about the overview of global internet use. If you see here, 4.66 billion total number of global internet users. As of October 2020, 4.66 billion total number of global internet users. What is the global population in maybe the current year approximately? What is the global population? It's around 7.8 billion, right? It can vary, approximately 7.8 billion. So out of this 7.8 billion internet users as a percentage of total global population, 60%. Out of this global, I said in the globally there are 7.8 people, the population, billions. and out of that 60% are using internet. So that is a huge percentage, a significant percentage that needs to be considered. And annual growth in the number of global internet users. Now why I am showing these facts for you all is to understand how things going, right? You should have these digital things. If you are not I'm talking about your individual perspectives. If you are not a more of a digital things, like you all should get more of this digital the ideas. Or there are, if one idea you have something very unique, and you can become some exceptional person in one shot. You have to do the campaign, but the idea is what matters, because there are a lot of opportunities coming in our way. So that is where these facts and figures come in, and that is where this increase in percentage, annual growth in the number of global internet users, 7.4%. There's a growth every day. There's an increase of people who are using internet, and in that 321 million in terms of the users, the increase. So that is something to think about. That is something increasing. Therefore we all as organizations, also as individuals, also as students, also any of us should think more of digitally, how we can do things digitally, how we can make our life easier by using these technologies, gadgets, apps, websites, or whatever. And another interesting thing, average amount of time per day spent using the internet by each internet user, 6 hours 55 minutes, let's say 7 hours. Average users, including me and you, maybe we are spending around these data gathered from a very reliable source. So they analyze everything, and they says 7 hours we spend average, in average term, in internet. So how that can happen? Of course, right, we used to always engage in YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. But if you are a TikTok user, I don't think you are average user, right? I'm not sure. Okay, just kidding. Then again, looking into the commerce activity overview, October 2020 data says percentage of internet users aged 16 to 64. Now we have to just keep this in mind. Percentage of internet users aged 16 to 64 who report performing each activity in the past month. But these people, this set of people, okay, just keep this in your mind. Internet users aged 16 to 64 searched online for a product or service to buy. They have searched through websites or their mobile browsers to buy certain product by using any kind of a device, 82%. Likewise, visited an online retail site or store through any device, 89% of internet users aged 16 to 64. And then again, used a shopping app on a mobile phone or on a tablet. These are some global facts and figures, 66%. And purchased a product online using any device, that is 74% of the internet users from the age of 16 to 64. And then again, purchased a product online via a mobile phone, 52%. So these are some interesting facts that we need to know if we are to live in this current day society. These are some interesting things. Now you all know, like, what is the internet users, like 60% of the global population are internet users, and it also increasing. Average we spend around 7 hours with the internet. Okay, now let's look into a use case, an example, you know, because of pandemic, COVID-19, because of that, most of the things went online. Most of the things were forced to do online. One example, as we all know, the tuition, right? Everything which happened physically on a classroom went online, and most of the institute, they started using Zoom. What happens in February, where the COVID started? By that time, I'm going to give you some comparison. Zoom versus the 7 largest airline stock performance. So this is the percentages what happened because of this pandemic. Because of this COVID-19, what happened for these digital businesses and some other the services or some other the airline services. So if you can see here the chart, in February, all kind of a similar stage. And January 31st, US declared a public health emergency and restricts entry into the country from China, because that started from China, as you all know. So looking into this chart, you cannot see much of a deviation here. But then again, March 11th, WHO declares COVID-19 as a pandemic. So how this blue color line, which represents Zoom, is going up? Because there are some curfews, right? Curfews, restrictions, you cannot physically meet. So therefore, all these meetings and all these kind of the classes or the tuitions or whatever the thing went through the Zoom app. So that is how this Zoom app became much more popular, and their stock performance reached to 129%. But what happens at the same time to these 7 largest airlines? You all can see Air France, Delta Airlines, of the United Airlines, it declined in a massive way, right? So this is something, an opportunity which was given to digital businesses, online businesses, that came through this COVID-19. And as a again there's some on the other hand, the impacts, some other services, they went down and down. So if you all see this chart, March 11, when WHO declares COVID-19 as a pandemic, then it suddenly went up. Then again, late March 2020, we got to hear Zoom is having a problem with some security, some virus, this and that, right? You heard that, right? So because of that, then again some stock prices went down because of that, the news that we heard from that. But again, people started using Zoom, and as a result, 129% stock performance increased compared to airline stock performance, which declined, which is in negative states. So that is how the digital things can be positively affected even during a pandemic like COVID-19. So now we all know how these things works, what opportunities that you can gain if your organization, or if you have some digital ideas in your mind right now. Okay, so that is all about Zoom and the 7 largest airline stock performance. Right.